My child, there are moments in life when the noise becomes so loud that you can no longer hear the voice that has been calling you all along. You wake up with responsibilities on your shoulders. You move through your day checking schedules, solving problems, answering messages, and trying to keep up with a world that never seems to slow down. Everyone wants something from you. Every day brings another demand, another challenge, another distraction. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, your soul becomes tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. A deeper tiredness. The kind that settles into your heart. The kind that makes you wonder if there is something more than simply surviving one day after another. I know those moments. I see them. I see the silent questions you carry. I see the thoughts you never speak aloud. I see the hidden battles behind your smile. I see the weight you pretend is not there. And today I want you to hear something clearly. You were never created merely to survive. You were created to live with purpose. You were created to walk in peace. You were created to know love that does not disappear when life becomes difficult. Yet many people spend years searching for fulfillment in places that were never designed to satisfy the human heart. Some search for it through success. Others search for it through relationships. Some search through achievements, possessions, popularity, or endless activity. But no matter how much they gain, something still feels missing. Why? Because the deepest hunger of the soul cannot be filled by temporary things. The human spirit was created for something eternal. That longing you feel inside is not weakness. It is not failure. It is not something to be ashamed of. It is evidence that your heart was made for more. And perhaps that is why you are here today. Perhaps that is why these words have found you. Not because of luck. Not because of coincidence. But because deep inside, your soul has been searching. You have been looking for direction. Looking for peace. Looking for hope. Looking for a reason to keep moving forward. And the beautiful truth is this: the answer you seek is closer than you think. For so long, you have been trying to hear God in the noise. But God is often found in the quiet. Not because He is absent from the noise, but because the noise makes it difficult for us to listen. There is something powerful about stillness. In stillness, fear loses its grip. In stillness, confusion begins to settle. In stillness, clarity emerges. In stillness, you remember who you truly are. The world teaches you to rush. God teaches you to listen. The world teaches you to strive endlessly. God teaches you to trust. The world teaches you to measure your value by performance. God teaches you that your value was established long before you achieved anything. Think about how often you run from silence. The moment things become quiet, many people reach for a screen. They look for entertainment. They search for distractions. They fill every empty moment because silence feels uncomfortable. But sometimes the very thing we avoid is the thing we need most. Because silence reveals what noise has been hiding. It reveals the condition of our hearts. It reveals our fears. It reveals our hopes. It reveals our wounds. And most importantly, it creates space for God to speak. There have been seasons in your life when you wondered why certain doors remained closed. You prayed. You hoped. You waited. Yet the answer did not come when you expected. In those moments, it may have felt as if heaven was silent. But silence does not always mean absence. Sometimes silence means preparation. Sometimes what feels like delay is actually development. A seed grows underground long before it appears above the surface. An oak tree does not become strong overnight. A diamond is formed under pressure. And many of the greatest transformations happen where nobody can see them, including the transformation taking place inside you. You may not recognize it yet, but every challenge you have faced has been shaping something valuable. Every disappointment has taught you something. Every setback has strengthened you. Every tear has carried a lesson. The struggle was never wasted. The waiting was never wasted. The pain was never wasted. God has a way of using even the hardest chapters to prepare us for greater things ahead. That does not mean suffering is easy. It does not mean pain is enjoyable. But it does mean pain can have purpose. The strongest people are not those who never faced storms. They are those who discovered strength in the middle of them. The wisest people are not those who never made mistakes. They are those who learned from them. The most compassionate people are often those who know what it feels like to hurt. And maybe right now you are in a season where life feels uncertain. Maybe you are carrying questions that remain unanswered. Maybe you are waiting for a breakthrough. Maybe you are wondering if things will ever change. If that is you, hear this. Your story is not over. The chapter you are living now is not the final chapter. There is still more ahead. There is still purpose ahead. There is still healing ahead. There is still joy ahead. The darkness may have lasted longer than you expected, but darkness never has the final word. Morning always comes. Light always returns. Hope always remains available to those who refuse to stop believing. The challenge is that hope requires patience, and patience is difficult. We want immediate answers, immediate solutions, immediate results, but growth often happens slowly. Faith often develops gradually. Character is built one day at a time, and while you are waiting, something important is happening. You are becoming stronger. You are becoming wiser. You are becoming more prepared than you realize. One day you will look back and understand why certain things happened the way they did. One day you will see how the pieces fit together. One day you will recognize that what seemed like an obstacle was actually preparation. Until then, keep moving forward. Keep trusting. Keep believing. And most importantly, keep making time for stillness. Turn down the noise. Step away from the distractions. Sit quietly. Pray honestly. Listen carefully. You may be surprised by what you discover there. Because in the quiet place, God often reminds you of truths the world has made you forget. You are loved. You are valuable. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not invisible. Your life matters. Your future matters. Your purpose matters. And no matter how lost you may feel at times, there is always a path back to peace. That path begins with a simple decision: to stop running, to stop striving, to stop carrying everything alone, and to trust that God is already working in ways you cannot yet see. My child, the journey ahead may not always be easy, but you do not have to walk it alone. The same God who guided you yesterday is guiding you today, and He will guide you tomorrow. So do not fear the future. Do not let uncertainty steal your peace. Instead, return to the quiet place. Return to the place where faith grows. Return to the place where hope is renewed. Return to the place where your soul remembers who it belongs to. Because everything begins there. My child, there were moments when you thought the pressure would break you. Moments when you looked at your life and wondered how much longer you could keep going. You smiled in front of people while carrying burdens they knew nothing about. You kept showing up, kept fighting, kept pushing forward even when your heart felt exhausted. Some days you questioned your own strength. Some nights you lay awake staring into the darkness, wondering if things would ever change. But look at you. You are still here. You are still standing. You are still moving forward. And that is not an accident. The truth is that every challenge you have faced has been shaping you in ways you could not see. While you were focused on surviving the storm, God was developing your character. While you were praying for the struggle to end, God was teaching you how strong you truly are. While you were asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Heaven was preparing an answer that could only be understood later. Many people believe that a blessed life is a life without difficulties. But that has never been true. The strongest trees do not grow in perfect conditions. They grow through wind, rain, and resistance. The strongest faith is not formed when everything goes according to plan. It is formed when life becomes uncertain and you choose to trust anyway. Think about every obstacle you have overcome. At the time, it felt impossible. At the time, it felt unfair. At the time, you thought it might be the end of your story. Yet somehow you made it through. Not because you had all the answers. Not because you never felt afraid. But because God was carrying you even when you did not realize it. There are lessons that comfort can never teach. There are strengths that ease can never develop. There are victories that only exist because there was first a battle. Every scar carries a story. Every trial carries a lesson. Every season of waiting carries preparation. One day you will look back and recognize that the very things you wanted removed from your life became the things that helped shape your future. The rejection taught you resilience. The delay taught you patience. The disappointment taught you wisdom. The heartbreak taught you compassion. The uncertainty taught you faith. Nothing was wasted. Not the tears. Not the waiting. Not the lonely nights. Not the unanswered questions. God has a remarkable ability to use broken pieces to create something beautiful. What looked like a setback may actually have been protection. What looked like a closed door may actually have been guidance. What looked like failure may actually have been redirection. You cannot always understand the purpose of a season while you are living through it. Sometimes understanding comes later. Sometimes clarity arrives after the storm has passed. But faith means trusting that there is purpose even before you can see it. My child, stop measuring your future by your current circumstances. Your current struggle is not your final destination. Your present challenge is not your permanent address. There is more ahead than what is behind. There are blessings you have not yet seen. There are opportunities you have not yet imagined. There are answers already moving toward you. Do not allow temporary difficulties to convince you that your story is over. Some of the greatest breakthroughs arrive after the hardest battles. Some of the brightest mornings arrive after the darkest nights. And some of the most beautiful chapters begin when people are tempted to give up. So keep walking. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Even when progress feels slow. Even when results seem invisible. Even when the road becomes difficult. Because every step forward matters. Every prayer matters. Every act of faith matters. And one day you will discover that God was working behind the scenes the entire time. The chapter you are living now is not the conclusion. It is preparation. It is growth. It is transformation. And the best part of your story may still be ahead. My child, there is something the world rarely teaches. The world celebrates victories, but it often ignores the process that created them. People admire the mountaintop, but few are willing to talk about the climb. They applaud success, but they do not see the sacrifices made in secret. They notice the strength, but they never witnessed the battles that produced it. And perhaps that is why you sometimes feel discouraged. You compare your journey to someone else's destination. You look at people who seem successful, confident, and blessed, and you wonder why your own road feels so difficult. But what you cannot see is that every person carries a story. Every strong person was once weak. Every confident person once doubted themselves. Every victory was preceded by a struggle. And every testimony began as a trial. Your life is no different. The challenges you face today are not evidence that God has abandoned you. They may actually be evidence that He is preparing you. Think about a sculptor working with stone. The stone does not understand why pieces are being removed. From the stone's perspective, it may feel like loss. It may feel painful. It may feel unnecessary. But the sculptor sees something the stone cannot see. The sculptor sees the masterpiece hidden inside. In the same way, there are seasons when God removes things from your life. Relationships, plans, comfort zones, opportunities. Sometimes He removes things you desperately wanted to keep. And in those moments, it is easy to feel confused. It is easy to ask why. It is easy to believe that something valuable is being taken away. But what if God sees something you cannot yet see? What if the ending you are mourning is actually creating space for a new beginning? What if the closed door is protecting you from a path that would have led to disappointment? What if the delay is positioning you for something greater? Faith often requires trusting God before the evidence appears. Anyone can believe when everything is working perfectly. Anyone can trust when every prayer is answered immediately. But real faith develops when circumstances suggest one thing and God promises another. Real faith says, I may not understand what is happening, but I trust the one who does. My child, there have been moments when you questioned your worth. Moments when failure whispered lies into your mind. Moments when disappointment convinced you that you were not enough. Perhaps you made mistakes. Perhaps you missed opportunities. Perhaps you chose paths you wish you could change. But your mistakes do not define your identity. Your failures do not determine your future. One wrong decision cannot cancel God's purpose for your life. Many people spend years trapped by regret. They replay old memories. They revisit old failures. They carry guilt long after the lesson has already been learned. And because they remain focused on the past, they struggle to move toward the future. But God is not asking you to live in yesterday. He is calling you forward. There is a reason the windshield of a car is larger than the rearview mirror. You were created to spend more time looking ahead than looking behind. The past can teach you, but it was never meant to imprison you. Learn from it. Grow from it. But do not live there. There are people who still define themselves by things that happened years ago. A rejection, a betrayal, a failure, a painful season. And because they continue carrying those experiences, they unknowingly carry chains that no longer belong to them. My child, some burdens were never meant to become permanent. Some chapters were meant to end. Some wounds were meant to heal. Some seasons were meant to pass. Do not allow an old story to become your permanent identity. You are more than what happened to you. You are more than your mistakes. You are more than your fears. You are more than your worst day. There is greatness inside you that has not yet been fully revealed. There are gifts within you that have not yet been fully developed. There is purpose within you that has not yet been fully discovered. And every challenge you face is helping prepare you for that purpose. Sometimes growth feels uncomfortable. In fact, growth almost always feels uncomfortable. Because growth requires change. And change requires leaving behind what is familiar. People naturally seek comfort. We enjoy certainty. We enjoy predictability. We enjoy environments where we feel safe. But God often calls people beyond comfort. Not to harm them, but to help them grow. The greatest opportunities often exist outside familiar territory. The greatest breakthroughs often begin with uncomfortable decisions. The greatest transformations often start when someone chooses faith over fear. Think about how many blessings have been missed because of fear. Fear of failure. Fear of rejection. Fear of change. Fear of the unknown. Fear has stopped countless dreams before they ever began. Fear has convinced people to settle for less than what was possible. Fear has kept people trapped in places they were meant to leave. But fear does not deserve control over your future. Fear will always show you reasons why something cannot happen. Faith will remind you why it can. Fear focuses on obstacles. Faith focuses on possibilities. Fear magnifies problems. Faith magnifies God's power. My child, there is a future waiting for you that fear cannot see. There are opportunities beyond your current vision. There are blessings beyond your current understanding. There are answers beyond your current questions. And that is why you must keep moving forward. Not because you know everything, Not because the path is perfectly clear, but because God is leading you one step at a time. You do not need to see the entire staircase before taking the first step. You only need enough light for the next step. And God has always been faithful to provide that. One day, the things that currently confuse you will make sense. One day, the tears will become testimony. One day, the struggle will become strength. One day, the waiting will reveal its purpose. One day, you will look back and realize that what felt like a setback was actually preparation for something greater. Until that day comes, keep trusting. Keep believing. Keep walking. Keep praying. Because every step of faith is bringing you closer to the life God has prepared for you. And remember this, my child. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are not abandoned. You are being guided. The road may be longer than expected. The process may be harder than anticipated, but the destination will be worth it. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, and keep moving forward, because the story God is writing through your life is far from over. My child, there will be days when progress feels invisible, days when you pray and hear no immediate answer, days when you work hard and see little reward, days when you give your best and still wonder if it matters. Those are the days when many people quit. Those are the days when dreams are abandoned. Those are the days when faith is tested. But those are also the days when character is built. Anyone can stay committed when results arrive quickly. Anyone can remain motivated when success appears immediately. The true test comes when you continue moving forward, even when the outcome remains unseen. That is where growth happens. That is where endurance is formed. That is where ordinary people become extraordinary. You see, most people misunderstand the purpose of waiting. They assume waiting means nothing is happening. They assume silence means inactivity. They assume delay means denial. But often the opposite is true. Some of the most important work happens beneath the surface. A farmer plants seeds and then waits. For weeks, there may be no visible evidence of growth. The field looks unchanged. The ground appears empty. Yet beneath the soil, life is developing. Roots are spreading. Strength is forming. Preparation is taking place. The harvest is coming long before anyone can see it. Your life is often the same. There are seasons when God is working beneath the surface. You may not see the progress. You may not recognize the preparation. You may not understand the timing. But that does not mean nothing is happening. In fact, some of God's greatest work takes place during the seasons that feel the quietest. My child, stop judging your future based on what you can see today. Today's circumstances are temporary. Today's struggles are temporary. Today's limitations are temporary. God sees beyond the present moment. He sees the complete picture. While you see a single chapter, He sees the entire story. While you see confusion, He sees purpose. While you see delay, He sees preparation. While you see obstacles, He sees opportunities. And because He sees what you cannot see, You can trust Him even when the road ahead seems uncertain. There are things happening right now that you do not yet realize. Doors are being positioned. Opportunities are being arranged. Lessons are being learned. Strength is being developed. Wisdom is being gained. And all of it is preparing you for what comes next. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming that growth should always feel exciting. Sometimes growth feels exhausting. Sometimes growth feels lonely. Sometimes growth feels like taking one step forward and 2 steps back. But growth is still growth. Do not confuse discomfort with failure. Do not confuse difficulty with defeat. Do not confuse delay with abandonment. You are growing even when you cannot feel it. You are progressing even when you cannot measure it. You are becoming stronger even when you feel weak. The strongest foundations are built underground. No one applauds the foundation. No one takes pictures of the foundation. No one celebrates the foundation. Yet without it, the building cannot stand. God often spends more time building foundations than people expect. Because the height of your future depends upon the depth of your foundation. The greater the purpose, the deeper the preparation. The greater the assignment, the greater the development. The greater the blessing, the stronger the character must become. And perhaps that is why some of your prayers have taken longer than expected. Not because God has forgotten you, not because He does not care, but because He is preparing you to sustain what He intends to give you. Many people want blessings. Few people ask for the wisdom required to manage them. Many people want success. Few people ask for the character required to sustain it. Many people want open doors. Few people ask for the maturity required to walk through them. God cares about your future too much to rush your preparation. He knows what is ahead. He knows what will be required. He knows who you are becoming. My child, there is tremendous power in trusting God's timing. Timing can change everything. A seed planted in the wrong season struggles. A harvest gathered too early is incomplete. An opportunity pursued before preparation can become overwhelming. That is why patience is not punishment. Patience is protection. Patience is wisdom. Patience is preparation. The world teaches urgency. God often teaches endurance. The world says, get there as fast as possible. God says, become the person capable of handling where you are going. Never underestimate the importance of becoming. Achievement matters. Success matters. Goals matter. But who you become along the way matters even more. Because success without character eventually collapses. Influence without wisdom becomes dangerous. Opportunity without preparation becomes overwhelming. God is interested in both your destination and your development. And sometimes He focuses on development first. My child, there are moments when life will tempt you to give up. Moments when discouragement will knock at your door. Moments when disappointment will whisper that nothing is changing. When those moments come, remember this. You have survived every difficult day that once seemed impossible. Every challenge that felt overwhelming eventually became part of your testimony. Every season that seemed endless eventually ended, and this season will not last forever either. Storms pass. Night turns into morning. Winter eventually gives way to spring. Change is one of the few guarantees of life. No struggle lasts forever. No hardship lasts forever. No season lasts forever. What feels permanent today may look completely different 1 year from now. That is why hope remains powerful. Hope allows you to keep moving while waiting for change. Hope allows you to keep believing before evidence appears. Hope allows you to keep trusting when circumstances suggest otherwise. And hope rooted in God is stronger than any obstacle standing before you. My child, you have come farther than you realize. You have grown more than you recognize. You have survived more than you remember. Do not underestimate what God has already done in your life.